In this video, we're going to go over debugging and fixing data pipelines with Bauplan and Claude Code. We'll cover the IDE environment and Bauplan skills plugins for Claude, looking at and debugging failed pipeline jobs, fixing and verifying pipeline code, then writing a summary of our debug findings. First thing I want to do is bring your attention to the environment. In the right terminal, I have Claude Code, and in the left file browser, I've got my Claude.md, which I downloaded from Bauplan's GitHub repo. I have a query text file that's going to have the query I'm going to use to get Claude moving today. And then I have a folder that has a pipeline I created using Bauplan in a previous pipeline creation session. This pipeline is specifically going to break things downstream, and we're going to be using it to debug today. Another thing you can do is you can actually download Bauplan skill files via the skill GitHub repo, and you can do that via the Anthropic marketplace. You simply copy this code and then put this directly into Claude Code. You can then type in plugins in Claude Code. This will allow you to actually see the plugins you've installed via the marketplace. They'll be in the installed section, and you can see them here that Bauplan has been installed and we are ready to get working. So the scene I want to set here is that we have a failed job. You can see in the Bauplan UI, it will show us if a job is failed. It gives us an overview of the DAG as well. This is the local Bauplan data pipeline I have, and when I run it, it creates a schema error issue downstream. And so this is very convenient in Bauplan to just get alerted of what went wrong, and there's some additional information. So now we're going to go back to our local environment and fix this pipeline. So I'm going to pass Claude a query I created that's going to ask it to look at the latest pipeline run for my branch. What it's going to do is it's going to leverage the Bauplan skill, which we will proceed and use to debug and fix data pipelines. It's going to actually look at that latest run, look at the error, and see what actually went wrong with it. Claude wants to create a new folder in my local directory called debug. We're going to proceed with that. And you'll see here that it is moving now into step 1 of the debug process. It's going to try to find the latest failed job. To do that, it's going to need to go to my main branch. It will search for the branches. It will have to do a little bit of thinking and some checkout into my branch so it's able to find exactly where this job happened. One of the great things about Bauplan is the way that these pipelines run as jobs, so you can both see them in the UI to look at what failed like we did before, or you can simply use an agent to search through the jobs as well and let them get the context they need to be able to debug exactly what went wrong. Claude's going to try a couple different things to get some information about the failed job, but ultimately what it decides on is to create a job report, as you'll see here, and then it's going to create a debug branch. On this job report, it's going to be a markdown file. It's going to have a report number and then also pull the metadata from the failed job itself, just some really useful stuff to have. From here, it's going to quickly move on to step 2 and create the Bauplan debug branch. That's done. And now we go into step 3, where we're going to collect evidence and locate the root cause. Claude's going to do some basic select all counts to get some row numbers on the table itself, the downstream table that this pipeline is writing information to. It's then going to update the streaming data markdown file, which is in that debug folder that it originally created. This is just giving it the chance to get the context of what this table is and what its role is in the job failure. We've now moved to step 4, where it's going to apply a minimal fix. It's going to try to create a git debug branch, but we're going to tell it that that's not necessary for this session. It understands and will skip that and fix it directly. Claude's going to note that we need to make a change here to a column name in the model's Python files, so we're going to go ahead and tell it to do that. Claude also finds another area in the model's Python file it wants to update, which is Polar's code that is getting the average. We'll say to fix that as well. We've moved on to step 5, where we're going to run and verify the updated pipeline we've done. The first thing we'll do is to do a dry run on this new pipeline and see if that works locally. That will not go to production. So we'll say yes and proceed. It is now running the DAG, it's going through, and things look good. We're now going to run the full pipeline to verify the fix. Great, it's running the DAG again on the full pipeline, and now we're going to check the job completion status. Great, we can see that the job completed, it ran, and the pipeline now runs successfully. Now we'll write the final summary report. So the debug summary is a markdown file, and it is now an artifact in your local file browser, and it's very verbose and useful. It has a root cause model, what broke, why it broke, what was fixed, determinism, and then the rerun result. This is incredibly useful for any context in the future when the same pipeline might have some issues or a similar pipeline might have a similar issue. We're going to have Claude make that markdown file. Perfect. We're all done. And Claude's got a nice summary here. Let's read what it's done. So it's debug and fix the failed pipeline. The root cause was schema drift in the content metrics model. The upstream raw stream model renamed a column from watch minutes to watch duration min, but the content metrics was not updated to use that new name. So the fix is 2 lines in that pipeline we had, the model's pie for the pipeline. Line 116 is changed, and then line 141 is changed. And from a verification standpoint, we reran the pipeline successfully, and the job ran 6 seconds with all 3 models executing cleanly. The debug reports are in the debug folder for the review, which is excellent, and the code is ready to run again. We're going to have Claude actually run it ourselves manually by writing run updated pipeline. We'll proceed. The DAG is running. Everything looks good. We'll proceed to get the job status. There's our job status. Successfully ran. Let's do a quick query on the table. Wonderful. We ran the pipeline ourselves and everything was complete. 6 seconds. The final output is streaming summary table materialized with 75 rows, and the schema drift fix works perfectly. And finally, we can go back to the Bauplan UI where we saw the failed job. And if we click on jobs again, we will see our jobs that we had just run, including the schema drift demo. Opening that up shows us a completed pipeline with the DAG overview. And this is just a wonderful example of how you can use Bauplan and agents to debug and fix your data pipelines.